Okay, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. So let's take a look at the deficient verb kana. So there are a group of verbs known as deficient verbs. They're known as deficient verbs because they don't fulfill the full function of a verb. So usually when it comes to a verb, we have a fa'il, which is the doer. Then we have a maf'ul, which is the object, right? Sometimes we'll have an object, sometimes we won't. But in this case, a deficient verb has a slightly different setup. So let's take a look. So when kana is added to a nominal sentence, it will change four things. First, the mubtada subject will become the ism of the deficient verb. So it's going to be known as something different now. We won't call it mubtada anymore. Rather, we'll call it the ism of that deficient verb. So example, it will be known as the ism of kana, right? Or ismu kana. The khabar, which is the predicate in a nominal sentence, and we said that means it's the news about the subject, will be known as the khabar of that deficient verb. So now it would be known as the khabaru kana, right? So we'd have ismu kana and khabaru kana. Third, the khabar will go into a state of nasb. So rather than being rafa, it will be in a state of nasb, and that's usually represented by it taking a fatha. So fourth, it will put the meaning into the past. Right? So rather than Zayd is sitting, it would be Zayd was sitting. So let's take a look at some examples. Kana Muhammadun taliban. So Muhammad was a student, right? So the kana is putting it into the past. It's changing our mubtada into the ismu kana. It's literally just a naming convention, and it's changing our khabar into the khabaru kana. And rather than it being in a state of rafa, it will now become a state of nasb. Right? So you got to remember those three things. Kana will be brought. It will put the sentence into a past tense meaning. This will now be known as the ismu kana. This will now be known as the khabaru kana, and it will be in a state of nasb. So, kana before a past tense verb. When kana is brought before a past tense verb, we have to keep in mind that it will match the verb that comes after it in number, gender, and person. So kana can be taken through all those 14 forms that we learned, right? So just like how there's kharaja, kharaja, kharaju, there's kana, kana, kanu, right? And we'll look at those actually. If placed before a past tense verb, it will have the meaning of the distant past. So let's take a look at some examples. So, kana, kataba, it means he had written. He had written. So rather than he wrote, it would now become he had written. That had there gives the meaning of something that happened a long time ago, right? Kana kataba. See, they're going to match in number. Right? Kana kataba. They had written. Kanu katabu. They had written. Kanat katabat. Sorry, should be katabat. Kanat katabat. She had written. Kanata katabata. They had written. Kunna katabna. They had written. So from this point on, it follows a very simple pattern. So kunna katabna. Kunta katabta. You had written. Kuntuma katabtuma. You both had written. Kuntum katabtum. You all had written. And it continues forth. So kunti katabti. Kuntuma katabtuma. Kuntunna, katabtunna, kunti, kuntu, sorry. Kuntu, katabtu, kunna, katabna. Right? So it can either be translated as had or a while ago. So it could be I wrote a while ago. So take a look at another example. Kana dhahaba zaydun. Right? Zaydun. So it would now mean Zayd went a while ago. So case 3, kana before a present tense verb. Note the following when dealing with kana before a verb. As we said before, it can go through all 14 forms. It will match the verb in number, gender, and person. There will never be a gap between kana and the verb. No words will ever come in between. And if placed before a present tense verb, it will have the meaning of something done perpetually in the past. Right, so let's take a look at that. Kana yaktubu. He would write. That would gives the meaning of something that was done a lot in the past. Right, it was something that he did a lot in the past. So كانا يكتبان, they would write. Keep in mind they're matching in number, gender, and person. So كانوا يكتبون, they would write. كانت تكتب, she would write. And yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And we actually created a little graphic here that are available in the notes if you guys want to take a look at it, just breaking down Kaana and its 3 usages and things that you need to keep in mind regarding it. Assalamu alaikum.